Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dope Debate Club. I'm your host, Maui Jones. Tonight, we have a very unique evening planned for you. In the wake of incidents like the Battle of New York, as well as the Battle of Sokovia, and the recent disastrous operations in Lagos, uh, have led to the proposal of the Sokovia Accords. And so tonight, thanks to a generous grant from Advanced Idea Mechanics, as well as MIT, we have some of the leading experts on enhanced individuals in our studio tonight. And our topic is, should these accords be mandatory? We're very excited to have this wonderful panel of experts talking tonight and leading the teams of debaters tonight. We have Kate Vargulage with us, and we're very, very excited to have Kate with us this evening. Kate, how are you doing?
I am just fabulous. How are you, Maui?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you so much for being on.
Very well.
And you are debating on behalf of Captain America. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. We're so happy to have you here. We also have with us from across the pond, Crystal Hollis. Crystal, how are you today?
I'm all right. How are you? It's good to be back.
Oh, it's good to have you. It's good to have you. And today your team is arguing the position of Stark Industries as well as their CEO Tony Stark.
Yes,
is that correct?
We are Team Stark.
All right. We're so excited to have you on. We have a wonderful tribunal of judges tonight to go over this debate. We have the Honorable Stephanie.
Hello.
And the Honorable Darian.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for being on, the three of you, or the two of you. Myself, I'm the third in the tribunal, the Honorable Maui. We're very excited to have this conversation tonight. So the way it's going to work is our captains are going to give an opening statement explaining their position. We will score this opening statement out of 10 points. When you are done scoring, judges, you will privately message me on using our Facebook Messenger. You will privately message me on Facebook Messenger what your total is for that score, and then I will explain the subsequent rounds once we bring in the other individuals that will be debating tonight. So, round one is the captain's opening. And by random toss of the coin, which I have not tossed yet, Kate, give me heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails it is. So it means you get to choose. Would you like to go first or would you like to go second?
I would like to go second.
All righty. And Crystal, you will be starting us off tonight with your 2-minute opening. Let me get my... Ooh, I'm so excited. Get my clock up here. Okay. And the 2 minutes will start whenever you start speaking. Oops. I did not mean to remove you. I meant to give you a single. There we go. Whenever you start speaking, your 2 minutes will start.
Okay. So the question that we have at hand is, should the Avengers or superpowered individuals sign the Sokovia Accords? The answer to this is yes. Most importantly, because of things like the innocent lives that have been lost through different actions of the Avengers, most notably what's happened in Sokovia and the the thousands of lives that have pretty much been, destroyed, lost, etc. Part of why we need to sign the Sokovia Accords is that the Avengers is currently based on idealism, and the way that they function is not necessarily steeped in reality. The highest level of kind of what's going on with the Avengers, you are a good Avenger if you're basically a good platonic friend, and that's kind of where the ideas of justice and where ideas of good and what's right and what's wrong are coming from. And that's not really a good framework when you start taking things on and from a global perspective. There's also a lack of trust from the global community with regards to the Avengers based on the decisions that they're making. And the Sokovia Accords would not necessarily take all of the control away from decision-making or the decision-making away from the Avengers, but would rather introduce a framework for responding to different crises that would be based on information rather than emotions and personal values. The most notable example of this is we have, James Buchanan Barnes, who wreaks havoc all throughout Civil War. And Captain America kind of puts aside some of the original values of the Avengers just to pursue things from a personal level. And having something like the Sokovia Accords would prevent this from happening and prevent more destruction from occurring based on just people's kind of personal whims and wants.
15-second warning.
Yep, you're good.
Oh, and you yield the rest of your time. Alrighty. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. And now, Kate, your 2 minutes starts whenever you start speaking.
So the question that we are facing today is, should the Sokovia Accords be mandatory for all enhanced persons? And we believe that the answer should be no. The safest hands are still the hands of the Avengers. And while my opponent does make an excellent point in that there have been a considerable amount of human casualties, and that is absolutely avoidable and regrettable, of course. The Accords take away the Avengers' right to choose for themselves. And my team will be going into further depth as to why the Avengers having their own agency is actually the best thing for the world as a whole and at large. And we would actually like to propose perhaps a bit of a compromise in that there is middle ground to be found, even further than the middle ground that has been found with the Accords already, especially since the Accords were not a compromise, given that they were created without the Avengers' input and without their consent. Lastly, I would just like to point out that what you are likely to see here today is that my team's arguments will be focusing on the future of the world as a whole, whereas Team Iron Man will most likely be focusing on how past actions are leading to this decision that we have here today. And we would like to just point out that it is imperative for us to be looking towards the future in this time. Thank you.
All right. And you're yielding the rest of your time?
Yes.
All right. Ooh, okay. All righty. So judges, like you said, you're scoring that out of 10. You can send me privately on Facebook, on our Facebook Messenger. Send me your scores whenever you have that tallied up. In the meantime, I'm going to bring in the rest of the debaters today. We have John Crabtree. John, you got some background noise I'm hearing there.
Good. Let me mute my microphone and that'll go away.
All right, cool. We have Dr. Alex Albrecht, PhD, MD, DMD. We have David. And we have just Marshall. Oh goodness. How's everybody doing today? Y'all good? Y'all good? You ready to debate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
As somebody once said, it's clobbering time.
All right.
Oh.
Okay. Shots
Who
fired.
said that?
I could come in the future.
We have
right.
a live viewer said hi.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
Shepherd David.
hi, Kat.
I can't.
She's recently been injured at the incident in Lagos. So
No!
thoughts and
There
prayers
must
go
be
out to her.
accountability.
Thoughts and prayers.
All
right.
This will not stand.
Okay. So for the first round, and this is how the next few rounds are going to go. We have a format here for that. Let me pull it up so I can read you the rules of the round. So I've tweaked it a little since our last debate. I'm very excited about this, so we'll see how this goes. All right. So We're now going into our individual rounds, and the way they're going to work is each individual debater will give their 2-minute opening statement for their category. After both statements have been given, we will go into the crossfire portion, and that's alternating 1 minute back and forth for 6 minutes. You can yield that time if you don't need the whole minute. You can yield it back whenever you're done speaking. And this is the time where you get to throw questions back, try and dismantle the other person's argument, try and bolster your opening statement, however you want to use that crossfire round, and then you will have up to 2 minutes for a closing statement. Judges will be awarding 5 points over 3 different categories, so you can score up to a total of 15 points. The 3 criteria that we will be judging on are information, that's how informative were you, persuasiveness, how well did the speaker articulate their position, and challenge, which is how well did they attack the opponent's position. Okay, so that's how we are scoring based on the totality of your round, up to 15 points. All right. Our first. Oh, we got also said hi from Mike.
Hey, Mike.
And then Kat.
Hey,
And then
hi.
Rude. LOL. Love you. Hey, we said thoughts and prayers. All right. So our first round. Let's see what the first question is. Has the arrival of enhanced individuals made the world safer or more dangerous? Who is arguing this question for the teams?
David, I thought was.
Me,
Oh,
So
no.
we have
Hi.
Dr. Alex Albrecht, PhD, MD, DMD,
doctor.
for that, and you are arguing for Team Iron Man, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And Just Marshall will be taking the Captain America side.
And just Marshall on the Captain America side.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna put everybody else backstage while this goes down. All right. Anybody?
Bye, everybody.
All right. And then there were us. All right. Judges, did you turn in your scores for the opening yet? Okay. Yep. I see that I have both scores here for that. Thank you so much. Okay. And sorry, let me get this other score recorded, and then we're going to go right into. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, let's see. See, Team Cap went second on the last one, so Team Iron Man will go first for this. That means that's Dr. Alex Albrecht, PhD, MD, DMD, will be going first.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. The floor is yours. Let me get my timer up. And your time starts whenever you start speaking.
So the world and the reality that we know may just have been introduced to these enhanced individuals, but as we have seen in New York, a catastrophe and a moment in history that have been, there's no other event like it on the grounds of destruction and sheer amount of terror. And there are greater threats out there than the petty squabbles we consider threats of our own. And we only got a victory from that due to the fact that we have an enhanced individual ourselves on the inside, knowing how to deal with the head of the snake. Of course, I'm talking about Thor and Loki. Now, what would happen if the entirety of Asgard, instead of just one lone nut, what if they decide to turn their heads and go after us? Or what if they bring it and show it to the doorstep? Or what about the infinite amount of other beings from the deepest depths of space? Do you think that the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or the Marines have any idea how to deal with that? No. Do they have any idea what could come through that portal? No. But who can we trust? with the constant mind-shaking anxieties or worry that any second we may be turned to ash or a dust at the drop of a hat or snap of a finger? These enhanced individuals are. They are here to stay until the time comes that we as a society are here and we have the power to handle it ourselves. And to give you a natural fact of the world, even though we 100% will never be on the same page, these enhanced individuals
30 seconds remaining.
Never have the same moral compass and the same ideological stances of common folk, because people are different. They're going to think differently. But that's fine, because we have Avengers defending what is best for us as a species and have a proven 100% success rate of dealing with those mitigated risks. And this world is defended both internally and externally, and will continue to be defended as long as we have these brave souls claiming us as their own. And is this world safer with enhanced individuals? You're goddamn right they are. The gauntlet has been...
Time. Cutting you off. It's very, very impassioned. Thank you. We have a comment from the chat. I want Alex as my lawyer. Interesting. Thank you for that opening statement, Alex. Just Marshall, your time starts whenever you start speaking, sir.
So, as it turns out, many of the arguments that I have are actually very similar to arguments that Alex has, is regarding these enhanced individuals. The question is, has the arrival of enhanced individuals made the world safer or more dangerous? Yes, it has made it more dangerous, but it has also made it significantly and exponentially more safer because of our own enhanced individuals. If we look at instances like Loki and Ultron and Red Skull, Ironmonger, the Mandarin, etc., all these individuals with enhanced capabilities have always sought to harm us, whereas our own enhanced individuals, the Avengers, have stopped all of these more evil individuals with the intent to protect our world. Alex said pretty much all of my arguments. The world is significantly safer because of these enhanced individuals, to protect our own world from other enhanced individuals. And I'm going to go ahead and yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm been muted the entire time. Time has been yielded. We're going to go into our Crossfire round now, real quick. Tribunal, what are you looking for in this Crossfire round? What do you want to hear from them regarding our topic about has the arrival of enhanced individuals made the world safer or more dangerous? What do you want to hear in this Crossfire round? What do you feel is gonna sway you? What are you looking for from what you've heard thus far? What do you want to hear more of? I know for me, I want to hear more thoughts perhaps on the causality of it all. Right?
Could you elaborate?
Would we be going through these things if superheroes never surfaced? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Is to the best of my knowledge, prior to the arrival of Tony Stark in his superpowered suit, I don't remember going through all of this stuff. And now I feel like every summer we got something else going on. So I would like to hear a little bit about the causality of it all for me personally. Other judges, anything that you want to hear going into this? Go ahead and unmute, Darian.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking too. You put it into words very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like there to be a little bit of discussion about the moral compass. If you have the power to do something and you just do it, that's different than having to think about what you do and the ramifications that you have. So I want to hear about how the two moral compasses affect the decisions that each group makes.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much for that. We are gonna put ourselves backstage, or rather, I'm gonna put them backstage. I will stay in, but you won't be able to see me, but you will be able to hear me, and I'll let you know when your minute is up, and it'll go back and forth. Dr. Albrecht started that, so Marshall, you will be starting the Crossfire round. You have up to a minute to speak in the Crossfire round. And let me stop my camera so you don't see me. And yeah, you have up to a minute to speak, and then it's going to jump back over to Dr. Albrecht. All right, and the Crossfire round will start whenever you start speaking.
So I would like to discuss the point that the Honorable Maui brought up. In this chicken egg scenario, which came first? Did the arrival of our own enhanced individuals bring about the enemy enhanced individuals, for lack of a better term? The problem is, whether it's chicken or egg, one of them is going to come. Whether we started it or they started it, one of us has to go. And if we don't start it, then they will. Evolution doesn't stop for anyone or anything, as far as I'm aware. We could do everything in our power to keep those who would seek to harm others from creating and using powers beyond natural human ability, and they'll still find a way to do it. If we, in turn, were to intentionally not utilize those same enhancements with the purpose of protection, we'll surely fall to those who would hurt us. Vision brings up the same point when they were discussing the Accords among the Avengers.
And time. And Alex.
Yeah, when it comes to the causality, I think that whatever happened in New York is inevitable. We do have, just looking at our own space race, we are constantly putting things out into the stars without even Tony Stark doing it. Look at NASA. They're putting satellites in there, and we're trying to wave to the universe, and eventually the universe will wave back. And if we look at what came through the portal in New York, those were not anything of this world. That means there is something out there. There is something that may have come before us that may look to bring down destruction. And so we need an organized thing. We need something to react. We need a reaction to be able to defend ourselves. And so when it comes to the causality, it doesn't matter what the cause is. It's the fact that we need an organized and thoroughly thought out and regulated way to react. Because what if...
And time. Just Marshall.
Yeah, so Alex is right. Whether we were to work with, for example, Stark Industries or not, other groups such as NASA are looking to wave to the universe to see what waves back. Everything that happened in New York is exactly what waved back. And without the Avengers, we would have been absolutely decimated, or even worse, controlled. We have no free will, because we would have been, we would be controlled by those who were waving back to us. It's a prime example of why we need the Avengers, why we need a group of enhanced individuals to stop those. Yes, it is more dangerous because, as Vision, brought up in that meeting.
Time.
You're going to get that Vision quote out, man, I swear. So, yes, the Avengers are good, but we need and I think we're both on the same page. We're arguing the same point at this point. But when it comes to how we're going to organize this front, look at the records of how the Avengers came together. It wasn't just like Tony Stark talking to Captain America. It wasn't just Black Widow talking to Clint, being like, let's all get grouped together. A centralized point organized by S.H.I.E.L.D. brought them together and keeps them together. And we need that organized structure in order to keep the Avengers together, because let's face it, they've got egos. They all have egos. They're going to explode unless they have somebody to wrangle them and herd them in the right direction. And I think that's what the Accords can bring about, is that centralized focus, bring them all going towards the same obstacle,
And
the same.
Marshall, final thoughts, or final Crossfire.
Yes, you're correct. This Shield did, or not? Shield and director Nick Fury did corral and form the Avengers, and brought this group together. However, the key difference between Shield and Nick Fury bringing about the Avengers and the Accords effectively saying the UN runs the Avengers, the difference is the Avengers did not answer to Shield. They were not limited by what Shield told them to do. They were given the free rein to help as they see fit, and we have to trust that their judgment is going to be for good. After the Battle of New York, who knew where any of the Avengers were? It's not like they were just sitting, in the Stark Tower, just waiting for their next assignment. They were off doing their own things, helping in their own ways. They weren't being told, "Oh, you have to do this. You have to, you can only do this. You can't go do that."
So then, so you're then saying, if we got rid of all these systems, would there be a way to get them back together? Would there be a way that we could? I mean, you're hoping on the good faith that they will, if something were to happen. If someone were to touch down on our doorstep, you would hope that they would get together via their own means to confront this this threat. But if we have the UN with their very good ways of keeping things organized, keep things in communication with each other, these checks and balances, this bureaucracy, that means a guaranteed survival. The survival rate just goes up. Man, the probability just skyrockets, instead of them just like, well, we'll hope the Avengers do something about this. Maybe. No, there's a guaranteed, just summoning of them under the UN Accord.
And time. Okay. Closing thoughts. Alex, you will go first for closing thoughts. I'll give you a single. You have up to 2 minutes. You do not have to use all that time if you do not want to. If you do not want to, feel free to say, "I yield the rest of my time."
Accords, good. Not Accords, bad. We need that centralized point to be able to fight off any existential threat, which I'm glad me and Marshall do have the same idea. And so it just comes down to the execution of it. It seems that we both agree on the same sides to be able that there needs to be some sort of external source to corral them together. And so it just comes down to how we do it. Just comes down to how we do it, honestly. And I yield the rest of my time after that.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. All right. Marshall, your 2 minutes starts whenever you start speaking.
Yes, we do agree on the need for enhanced individuals. I cannot in good conscience agree with that we need some sort of centralized communication or overlord for our enhanced individuals. Because if we force them, they may not treat us kindly. We have to give them their freedom to act how they see fit, and we have to trust that their vision is for the greater good. And I thank you and yield the rest of my time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was fantastic. Both of you. That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring in the rest of the teams while the judges deliberate and get our final scores in. Feel free to cross talk. You can trash talk. Y'all can do whatever you want for the next few minutes while we figure our stuff here out.
Is this when we start to be entertaining for the viewers?
Absolutely.
Heyo.
I don't know, Alex. You're already pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that was some very impassioned debating.
I'm so nervous, and so
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Excuse me, Dr. Albrecht.
I've never argued anything in my life.
What kind of skewer were you using? What was that? That looks
It's a marshmallow skewer.
Yeah.
I was also very stressed and scared because I haven't done any sort of debate since high school, and I don't remember that. So this was effectively my first one.
And
I've never done one ever, so it's all good, man. It's all good.
I was just trying to find a point. It's like, all right, how could I turn this back into a debate instead of just being like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's like,
Yeah, I was
just taking them all off.
strange pivot right off the bat.
Yeah.
I was able. I'm proud of myself for being able to find the debate point of it all.
Yeah.
Debbie
I got it back around.
now. Why? I don't have any props, guys.
You were able to successfully lose the common ground. Yeah.
That's the goal, yes.
Ooh,
I'm honestly only wearing the mask because I will be the death of your argument.
Mm-hmm.
You're very muffled, but I heard you.
Also, were you able to find the Easter eggs in my speech?
yes.
I caught the last one.
Oh, my.
The one where you finished on what if.
I included all 6 Infinity Stones: time, space, mind.
I like it.
True nerd.
I could write speeches. I just can't argue.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
announces to the world in the middle of a debate.
All right, we have our totals. So that's been recorded. That was awesome, by the way. I just want to say that was like really fun to listen to, especially that Crossfire round. It was really fun to hear y'all go back and forth like that. I really enjoyed that. Let's move on to round 2. Round 2 is, should the UN be the governing body of the Avengers / superpowered individuals? We know that there are more out there. So, question is, who should be the governing body? Like, should the UN be the governing body? Should something else be the governing body? We'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Who is arguing this round 2? All right, so we have
David, got
Kate
it.
v. David. All right. Ooh, all right. I'm excited
Giant
for
bug
this.
in this room.
All right, let's put some people in the backstage.
Got this. Got this.
My computer is being stupid today. Oh, why am I removing my judges? Y'all stay.
Yeah.
And Alex. There we go. There we go. Now we got the people we need. We got all things that are good. All right. So just like last time, you have up to 2 minutes for your opening statement, and then we'll go into the crossfire round. Judges, same scoring as last time. That's about it. Dr. Alex, I believe, went first on that last one, and he was on Iron Man, which means Team Cap will go first on this one, which means Vargulage, you are up first. Whenever you start speaking.
So the question before us today is, should the United Nations be the governing body of the Avengers and other enhanced individuals? And our position is that they absolutely should not be. The Avengers must maintain their right to work independently. First of all, the United Nations panel could send the Avengers somewhere they won't be helpful or refuse to let them go someplace that they absolutely need to be. This point is brought up by Steve Rogers himself in Civil War. Secondly, the UN is run by people with agendas, another point that Steve brings up in Civil War, and there is absolutely no guarantee that their agendas will align with the Avengers' motives and missions. It would be extremely easy for the UN to become a SHIELD 2.0 of sorts, with a Hydra-like corruption growing unnoticed that the Avengers would then be legally bound to serve. Thirdly, the purpose of the Accords and the purpose of the Avengers are not in alignment. Nick Fury created the Avengers to work outside of government constraints, not under it. We see examples of this when he says that, they were hopelessly, hilariously outgunned in Avengers 2012, speaking to the fact that they need a higher level of protection, i.e. the Avengers. When he talks about the Avengers Initiative being an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to fight the battles that they never could. And then he also mentions that the world is filling up with people that can't be matched, can't be controlled, and therefore we need these Avengers, and we need them to have their agency so that they can protect us from the fights that we just cannot fight. Thank you.
All righty. Excellent job. Excellent job. David, you are up. Your time starts whenever you start speaking.
Hi, I'm David. I am Colombian and Dominican, and I'm going to come to this from that point of view. So, the Sokovian Accords are strictly saying that we want to have the United Nations and 117 nations to sign on and have influence on the superpowered Avengers. Thor himself, just one of them, could come through and demolish an entire small to medium-sized sovereign country. We can't trust that, especially not to America. And when I say America, I mean the American military. Let's look at this. The Avengers are a group that were created by SHIELD, an American military organization with ties to a white supremacist organization that dates back to the 30s, Hydra. Not only that, but the roster of the Avengers is an Army captain, Air Force captain, Air Force sergeant. It's 2 spies, one Hawkeye, who is a former field SHIELD agent, and Black Widow, who is a SHIELD agent who defected from Russia. These are all American interests. I don't want American military interests in my countries anymore. I don't trust them. And then to have them bankrolled by an American billionaire like they're some sort of Blackwater, still backed by the American government. We've seen what happens when Blackwater
10
commits
seconds.
war crimes, and the American government still backs them. The Avengers need to be an international force backed by the
And
international
time.
community.
Okay, we're coming in. We are coming in hot here. Whew. Okay. Judges, anything that you want to hear going into this crossfire round? Just to give a refresh of what we are talking about for this round. Should the UN be the governing body of the Avengers / superpowered individuals? I would say for me, hearing, especially coming out of what David just said, I'd like to hear from Cap's side some of the historical evidence to the contrary of this. Darian, Stephanie, anything?
If not the UN, who? And does
Mm.
this group actually need a babysitter? Maybe they don't.
I second that. If not the UN, then who? But on the other side, what makes the UN our best choice out of everyone?
Excellent. Okay.
Maui, I'm sorry. Before we start, could you repeat what you'd like to hear from us? You broke up while you were speaking.
Oh, apologies. Right. So I was saying I'd like to hear some of the perhaps some historical context to the contrary of David's position. I like to hear a little bit more of the some more historical context points on the position that you're arguing that the UN should not be the governing body. All right, and I'm going to put us backstage here, and so my camera. Sorry, my apologies. My computer's a little sluggish today. Apologies for that. Let's see. David, you start off this crossfire because you went second for the opening part. So we do it like a snake. So All right, David. So your 1 minute starts whenever you start speaking.
All right. So to continue on, not only do we have a healthy fear of the military, and historically, the U.S. military has come in and forced the hands in, in South America, Africa, Asia, throughout the world. We also have a new burgeoning fear of corporate interests. Not even new, from banana republics to now. And Tony Stark, he's a billionaire industrialist whose company used to provide weapons for both sides of a war. We can't trust him. We need to trust an international body, and there is no other international body that I know of that has 117 plus countries. Not only that, the U.S. recently interfered in Bolivia because Elon Musk, a billionaire,
and time. Kate?
I'll start by trying to speak to the points that David is so eloquently making. I would just like to say that the points are valid. I would just like to say that since, if we could just take Tony Stark as an example, he has since moved on from selling weapons. So granted, that is how he made his fortune. That is an excellent point. There's no denying that. But when he was becoming the Iron Man, that entire arc was him realizing that he was doing wrong and that he needed to change his ways. And by the end of that film, we had seen a change in him. We had seen a change for the better in him in terms of social justice and human rights, and in terms of what he was selling and to whom. I would also say that there is a general, if we can just take Secretary Ross, who is very highly ranked within the military. He is treated with a great measure of contempt by most of the members of the Avengers, and that is even seen throughout Captain America: Civil War, the film.
Yes, Tony Stark has made great strides as a human being. I still cannot find it within my heart to trust him. And you had mentioned earlier that we cannot, that you were going to speak on the future, and that we might be speaking on the past, but the past is prologue. What we have seen in the past is what informs the future. Furthermore, he stopped making weapons because War Machine is literally called War Machine. It is another Iron Man with even more weapons on it that is worn by an active U.S. military personnel. Again, how can I feel comfortable with the Avengers not having any kind of oversight that my fatherland or my motherland have any influence on? How do I know that we're not going to send them into some Middle Eastern war and then just have them leave and time?
I think that we are coming at the same problem from different angles. I think that we both agree that we have a distrust of the American military. I would wholeheartedly agree with you there. I absolutely have a distrust of the American military. And to a certain extent, I would argue that Captain America has a distrust of the American military, but there's just not enough time to go into that right now. I would like to speak to some of the points that our judges have asked us to speak to, specifically, if not the UN, then who? And I would just like to reiterate that I don't think that the Avengers should have any kind of structure above them. I think that there is a chance to work laterally with organizations, and I think that could be extremely beneficial. But the Avengers work best when they have their own independence and they have their own sense of agency. And then if we are talking about
time.
Thanks.
David?
The Avengers had their own sense of agency. Tony Stark had a wonderful idea of some sort of shield that would cover the world. He did that without the influence or the input of the rest of the world, and whether or not any of us wanted to entrust this billionaire industrialist with that idea. And that gave birth to Ultron, who wreaked unfathomable damage to the world, especially in Sokovia. And then after that, the Avengers come out of that with a brand new and more powerful weapon in the synthezoid known as Vision. And yes, Vision seems to be a wonderful being. However, how can we trust that? I cannot blindly trust that. We need them to work with the international community. If this kind of team with that much power is out there and can just come in and take over a country or just make changes.
And time.
Speaking to the point you were making about Sokovia, I think that it's important to know that the Avengers were able to neutralize that situation. Granted, a situation of their own making. They were able to neutralize that situation because of their independence and because they didn't have to wait for a go order that may or may not have come from a higher body of governing officials. And they were able to neutralize the situation to the best of their ability. Granted, I mean, there were a lot of casualties. There's no getting around that. But it could have been a world-ending event had they not been able to act in the timely fashion that they were allowed to act in, or that they were able to act in. I would just like to quickly say that I don't believe that the UN is the best option, but since that is what we have on the table here today, I would just say that there is some merit in the fact that the entire world is contributing some influence and some information into this body of people. But again, those people have agendas, and that is the most important thing to keep track of here.
Alrighty. Oops. All right. So, to close us out on that, let's see. I believe that would be David giving the closing first, or is it Kay giving the closing first? What did I just do last time? I already forgot. I think it would be because who started first?
I think that I went first in the opening statements for this.
You went first in the opening statements. David went first in that, so then you go first in the final. Yep.
I should go first.
Yep. So you go first, and then David. Yep, that's right. Snake.
All right.
Yep. All right. So here you go for your final.
Okay.
You have up to 2 minutes whenever you are ready.
So just to wrap up, it's important to note that the Avengers work best when they have their own sense of agency and their own independence. I would say that while the UN certainly isn't a perfect solution, it is a solution, and I would just like to state some information that I didn't get to state while we were doing our crossfire, but I believe that there is a solution, even further compromise to be had, where this UN panel of officials can come in and work with the masses. Government agencies are much more equipped on working with masses of common people, whereas the Avengers are much more equipped to be working with singular enhanced threats. And there is an opportunity here that has since been underutilized even, where the governments of the world and the Avengers are more than capable of working together, and it is a matter of finding that solution. That solution, however, is not to put them under the control of the Accords. That is the wrong decision to make here, because the Avengers operate best when they have their own sense of agency. Thank you.
And your time starts whenever you're ready.
The Avengers all seem like wonderful people. Well, mostly. Maybe not Hulk. Don't tell him I said that. The Avengers seem like wonderful people, but we can't trust. They're a militaristic force, currently unmoored. They're American, with the exception of Thor, who has no nationality, no earthly nationality, and Wanda, Wanda Maximoff, who is a refugee from a country that the Avengers destroyed. Their worldview is going to come from an American worldview, and that's a threat to any other worldview in the world. There's countries that I don't agree with right now, but I don't think we should go in there. And I can't guarantee that the Avengers wouldn't. Especially, what if culturally there is something that some horrible thing happening? That's what the UN is there for, to decide how the world responds and to take a measured response to it. And the UN is what we have. It's an imperfect body. But if we let the Avengers, this group of individuals who have the militaristic might in 7, 8 people to destroy cities, the Hulk himself is an atom bomb just on his own, or I guess a gamma bomb. If we just let them out there in the world to act of their own accord, they may as well be our new ruling power. They're the new superpower. They're the world's police. And absolutely not. We cannot have the Avengers unmoored from the will of the individual countries in this world. That just begs us to forget the little people out there, the people who are working and toiling on the streets.
And time. Thank you so much. That was intense on both sides. Oh my gosh, y'all were so good. Okay, let me bring in your peeps while we deliberate here. That was a fire round, y'all. Good job.
Oh my God, Debbie, that was amazing.
Thank you.
I was not ready. I was not ready. That was amazing. I'm like sweating. I know you can't tell, but I was like sweating.
I was like, this is getting interesting.
I was promised a
Defeat
fun
coming for blood.
casual time.
Yeah, what, Marshall? You were promised what?
I was promised a fun, casual time.
We're going to be arguing about superheroes.
Not America's role in global politics.
Yes. Marshall, what your vision quote was. Tell me
Marshall,
your vision
it
quote.
was,
that I kept cutting you off.
well, you didn't keep cutting me off.
The time did.
It was Vision says the Avengers something along the Avengers invites a challenge. Challenge incites conflict, and conflict, dramatic pause, breeds catastrophe.
Boom.
Catastrophe that I'm not arguing.
I tried that already.
We're done.
It's not argue time.
We did our part. You're done for the day. I've got a closing statement to make at the end of this, and then I'm done. And that's it.
That's right.
The bulk of my responsibility was just completed.
Just watch
Man.
us feed crystal lines for the rest of the debate.
Oh man.
No, that was a joy.
I gotta follow that.
That was a joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
Damn.
That was really good.
Yeah. Although now I know I'm up against John and I'm slightly petrified.
Don't worry, we could still win 2-1.
oh. John does have a majestic beard. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
It has.
I was going to say, I'm waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Don't attack the beard. Don't attack the beard.
John does have a majestic beard that I'm pretty sure has a pen in it right now.
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
Besides,
David and I were competing in pen storing capabilities.
Nice.
Oh no.
I'm pretty sure he has me beat.
So if there's a tie, is that what we're going off of? How much you can like store?
There's already a whole stationary store in his hair. I'm pretty sure.
My biggest comb and it disappears.
I didn't even see you had a comb in it.
Boom.
Disappears.
Boom. Nice.
I did have a beard at one point that I was able to fit all of the Monopoly tokens inside of.
Oh,
Why would you do that?
Please tell me that was a Santa beard at one
That's
point.
amazing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
That was my 2-year Santa beard, yeah.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent.
amazing.
All right, y'all. Okay.
Oh,
That was fantastic. So I'm
Hot
just
damn.
trying to get the score figured out real quick. Darian, you're giving me scores for Crossfire plus speech. It's for the entire round. out of 15 points. So don't give me 2 sets of numbers. Just give me 1 set, 15 total on that. 1 set, 15 total. Okay, so while they get that figured out, I'm going to prep y'all for the final round here. Here we go. Round 3.
Ding ding.
Politics / governing bodies even play a role in who gets help. So I think this is a nice extension of the conversation we just had. Like, who gets to decide who gets help? So the last one talked about more of the hero side. We're talking about the people now. Who decides who gets help? And to argue this, we have by process of elimination. I figured it out. John Crabtree v. Crystal Hollis. Exciting. All right, here we go. Let's remove some peeps here.
You got this.
And let me bring back in my judges.
Do it.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, bud.
I want to stay.
All right.
I was like, where did John go?
Who am I Oh, I took out John. Oh my gosh. Where did he go?
Where did John go?
There he is. There, I found him. I'm managing a lot of buttons over here, y'all. A lot of buttons.
I got you.
Let's see. So Team Cap started that last round, which means Team Iron Man will start this round, which means Hollis, you are up. Your 2 minutes starts whenever you start speaking.
Okay. So the question is, should politics or governing bodies play a role in who gets help? The answer is yes, largely because of things like personal and individual bias, which the Avengers have quite a lot of. If a governing body has the ability to play a role in who gets help, they can choose the best people for the job. So I know we keep bringing up Asgard, but Thor's the best person to make that kind of connection and deal with that kind of problem. So they'd be able to make that decision and send him versus somebody else who thinks that they can do better. Also, they can make critical decisions with regards to diplomacy versus fighting and deploy more effectively against threats instead of leaving it up to the Avengers and hope that they'll feel like taking care of a problem and hope that they'll feel moved enough to take care of a problem. It also protects the Avengers themselves. Like Wanda, it probably shouldn't have been in Lagos. She was not ready. She wasn't really prepared for that sort of job yet. And it caused a huge catastrophe and took many, many lives. So yes, to eliminate bias of individuals, to protect people, and to make better decisions and more appropriate decisions, governing bodies should play a role in who gets to help and who gets that help.
All right. Are you yielding the rest of your time?
I will yield the rest of my time.
All righty.
Or I will babble.
Much. And we're going to bring up John now. John, your 2 minutes starts whenever you start speaking.
Muted.
Oh, yep, you're muted. Let me unmute you here. There you go. Whenever
Hey.
you're ready.
That would be helpful to be heard. All right. Should politics / governing bodies play a role in who gets help? Our answer is yes, but yes, the role of governing bodies / politicians should play a role in these scenarios, but their role should be that of support. As established by my esteemed teammates, the Avengers are uniquely and singularly suited in dealing with enhanced persons, whereas governments and politicians are uniquely suited in dealing with large masses of people, with civilians. An ideal strategy should include governments handling the common masses, evacuations, emergency aid, preventative measures, while the Avengers, free of the control of the Accords, should spearhead their efforts on the opposing enhanced individuals or supervillains. the UN learned the wrong lessons from Sokovia. Sokovia actually proves an effective strategy in solving a crisis of enhanced individuals. The Avengers were focused on fighting Ultron and his many iterations, while S.H.I.E.L.D. focused on evacuating the masses. It would be simple to substitute appropriate governments or governmental agencies for S.H.I.E.L.D. going forward. The UN panel that was meant to control the Avengers under the Accords could shift their focus and be dedicated to policing and mitigating which countries receive which aid and working with the appropriate governments to facilitate such outcomes. I yield the rest of my time.
Alrighty. Whew, okay. Those are great opening statements, both of you. All right, judges, what do you want to hear going into this Crossfire round? You there, judges? Are you muted?
No, I'm here. I still want to know if morality plays in any of this. Remember, Cap comes from the truth, justice, and the American way, America. So, how we govern each one of these groups, is it dependent on their underlying moral compass?
Okay. Stephanie, you got anything?
Not that I can think of right now.
Yeah, me neither. I'm excited to see where this one goes. I thought that both sides came out guns a-blazing. I'm really excited to see them kind of go back and forth here. Iron Man started this, which means Cap starts the Crossfire portion. Let me remove us. Yeah. All right. And again, just to reset, should politics / governing bodies play a role in who gets help is the topic on the table here. Team Cap starts first, so let me adjust my timer here, which means Jonathan, whenever you are ready, you will start the Crossfire round.
All right. You made the point earlier that the Avengers are inherently have their own personal biases that they have to contend with. I wanted to also bring up the fact that the countries of the UN themselves also have political agendas that they also have to contend with. There needs to take into account the fact that these countries could be able to need be checked themselves so that they're not using the Avengers or other enhanced individuals to give themselves unfair advantages over their neighbors. So the idea of biases. Thank you.
Crystal, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I want to address the morality question really quickly since it's been brought up. And I think that ties in very well with bias. If we leave the Avengers to govern themselves without having some sort of overarching group governing their motives, that means that depending on the day, it's going to depend on what people are feeling like. It's going to be ruled by different people's moral compasses, depending on either how they're feeling or certain things that they're attached to. And that's not good or sound, especially when you're looking at the global impact of things. Everybody has different moral compasses. We know this. It's just how humans are. And in a crisis situation, it's better to have solid guidelines that may sometimes go against somebody's personal moral guidelines if it's going to be for the greater good, if it's going to actually help people versus something like, again, you have Cap just kind of throwing morals out the window to try and save Bucky all the time. There's a lot of destruction that could have been circumvented if... Yeah. You get where I'm going.
I'll touch briefly on the morality issue. I think that morality is really one of the Avengers' strengths in this. You bring up Captain America. I think that it is actually his very strong personal moral compass that leads him to defend Bucky from being ultimately wrongly accused by the global community. I'd also like to talk. You mentioned earlier in one of your points of the UN and or other governing bodies being effective in deciding where enhanced individuals should be spent. Democratic, large global bodies are anything but efficient. To be able to make a decision in time to be able. Thank you.
Going back to Cap and Bucky, because I am not done with this. It is Cap's strong moral grounding that does save one person from being wrongly accused, but how much damage was done to prevent things for that one individual? That's one of the things that has to be considered here. Also, Cap is literally a man out of time, right? He's operating with a mindset that is decades old, that doesn't necessarily 100% apply in the modern world and doesn't make his methods necessarily effective in the modern world. He's grounded in idealism, not in reality. And that's kind of been his shtick from the start. He wants to join the military for all these ideals of punching Nazis and fighting the bad guy. He's a big ideas guy, and that's great. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but there needs to be a framework with which these things can operate, and so that he can use his skills most effectively and most appropriately, minimizing the damage that's being done.
All right. Was that 3 revolutions, or is there one more?
I could get one more.
One more.
Okay.
The framework that you're talking about of giving the Avengers direction and making them more effective, more efficient, is actually inhibiting their greatest strengths. Their greatest strengths are the ability to be mobile and to act quickly. Neither of these are strengths of governments, and when governments tend to try to act quickly unilaterally, it hasn't been as effective in the past. Whereas the actions of the Avengers have been able to effectively prevent huge global scale catastrophes quickly and efficiently without the hampering of governmental oversight. Now, that doesn't mean that governments don't play a part in these conflicts.
I think the thing you have to also consider, though, is that the Avengers have also caused some of their own problems, like particularly Ultron. If there had been more oversight, if there had been some sort of framework with what was being done, that probably could have been circumvented. Also, something like an Accords or a framework is going to protect the Avengers themselves. And it's going, so when we have something like Wanda accidentally killing a bunch of people because she's not quite ready yet to be out doing this kind of work, you know, there's actual training for her. There's actual like counseling and help that she can get to become more prepared for these situations before just throwing her in and hoping that she's good enough. It protects the Avengers. It will also protect people like Bucky, so he can get kind of reintroduced, so to speak, and be turned as a force for good. There's a lot of good reasons why a framework can work here. And while the strength of the Avengers is their mobility, I'd actually argue that their biggest strength is their ability to work as a team. And a framework can actually help strengthen those bonds and strengthen their goals and how they interact, work with each other.
All right. Final close for this round. Jonathan, you go first, I believe. You started that off. No, sorry, Crystal, you go first, and then Jonathan, you will go after. So, Crystal, your up to 2 minutes starts whenever you are ready.
Okay. without a framework and without a governing body playing a role in who gets help and like how they get that help, we're relying heavily on the bias of individual members of the Avengers to do things when they feel like it or do things when they feel it is good. And that isn't a reliable system of protection. Perhaps one of them has a connection, you know, like Thor might not want to kill Loki and it might need to be done, that sort of thing. Also, when we're looking at a framework, it's going to protect the Avengers and protect not only the team members, but also their ideals to an extent. We need to ground how the Avengers work in reality and how things work in the modern world versus continuing to follow this ideology of just like friendship and doing the right thing. We need to define the right thing so that they know what it is, so that we can go out and do it better and do it with less damage being done to the rest of the world.
All right. Yielding your time?
Yeah.
All right. And Jonathan.
The Avengers have in their ranks some of the greatest minds of our generation. I hear a lot of Team Iron Man bringing up the creation of their own problems, the Avengers' own problems. But if you take a look at the UN as a governing body, they're not situated to have the kind of technical knowledge to be able to foresee an Ultron-like problem ahead of time to be able to prevent those sorts of things. Those sorts of things take technical expertise and the sorts of things that the Avengers excel at. The Avengers are uniquely positioned to take care and handle problems related to enhanced individuals. Governments should be there to support, to handle the needs of the civilians and the aftermath of these sorts of conflicts, and to be able to best provide humanitarian aid to those who are affected by these events. But to prevent these events from being global catastrophes, global ending catastrophes, we need the Avengers. We need them to be unhampered by government regulations and to be able to effectively use them to their greatest capacity. Let the government stick to what they do best. Let the Avengers stick to what they do best. I yield my time.
All right. Fantastic. I'll bring in all of the competitors tonight. Great job on that round. That was just wonderful.
Yeah, get it.
David, what are you doing?
I am not Dark Claw.
That was good, y'all.
That was
good.
I really liked it.
I enjoyed it.
You guys are awesome.
Oh,
Oh,
you're welcome, Mike.
Boo! Never question Captain America.
Always question Captain America.
That's a bad idea.
anybody that holds up the mantle of Captain America. I wouldn't trust John Walker with shit.
I mean, fair.
I just
Fair.
realized that I forgot.
That's
I've been rewatching. I've been rewatching that series, and I'm just like, huh.
I love to
Oh my
hate
God.
him. He's like Homelander.
Oh
He
man,
does such a good job. Like he does that role so well. I just want to punch him.
the acting is exquisite in that.
Oh,
in
From
that
his
role.
point of view, he just wants to do good, but he can't.
But he can't.
And
I felt very conflicted after Ed Asner passed away because of the constant comparisons in the from the episode
Oh,
where
from
everyone's
Up.
like, it's just the old man from Up, and I'm like, it is the old man from Up, and that was that was Ed Asner. So what do I do now?
what do I do?
now what?
Do I hate
Set
or
this.
do I love?
I just realized that I forgot to call Captain America Captain Yankee. I had a whole applause line.
That was gonna be our ace in the hole.
Well, now you're definitely gonna lose.
That's
Man.
correct.
Captain Yankee. I mean, you ain't wrong.
Wow.
Captain Yankee Doodle Dandy.
All right.
Woof.
So we're about to go into our close, but I just want to say across the board, this has been a wonderful debate to listen to. Hats off to all of our debaters today, regardless of who wins. It's all for good fun. I really enjoyed it, and y'all did not make this easy. Like literally, that's a message I just got from Stephanie. Like y'all did not make this easy. This has been really fun. Yeah, it's really fun. Before we go into the closing debate, judges, anything that you are still looking to hear? My caveat is going to be that you need to say something for each side. If there's something that you need to hear, I want you to give a statement to each debater. Stephanie, did you have anything?
Yes. Oh, hello. So on one side, I want to know. Why'd you have to put me on a solo, Maui? How do you balance this sort of control over the Avengers without them having to, as Team Cap has said, like waiting for them for a go, like, so they have to wait and listen for something to happen, or wait and listen for orders in a dire situation? How do you balance their judgment and still have this kind of still have this government control over them? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And on the other side, I need a specific example of the Avengers working together, because they are definitely, like, in the past, how they've made their best judgments. A reason that I should continue to trust them working on their own in the future, because they are their own people with their own agendas. I don't know them personally. I don't know if they're good people or not.
Is that one for me?
That one's for Team Cap. Yes.
Okay. Darren, anything else that you want to say to either the captains before they go into their final? No. Okay. For me, sorry, 1 second. I'm still gathering I just want to finish writing down my thought on this.
Yeah, you guys are all so well spoken. I'm glad that I don't have to be on the debate side, because, yeah, as you can see, I'm not as good as forming my ideas, but you guys are doing so great.
All right. So for Team Cap, what I would ask, that I would like to hear more of, perhaps in your close, is if not this Sokovia Accord, what is your alternative system to check the enhanced individuals? For Team Iron Man, why should I I still don't know why I should trust the UN. It's a it's an international peacekeeping place, but it's also, to my mind, thus far in these events has been fairly ineffectual. Why should we give control of enhanced individuals to this governing body? So those are the things that perhaps I would like to hear in the close. Vargulage, you will be going first, since you went second at the top.
Tight.
And then Crystal, you will be closing us out for the evening. Vargulage, your 2 minutes starts whenever you are ready.
Okay, so to speak first to Stephanie's ask of the Avengers working together, why should we trust them? I think that there are plenty of occasions that the Avengers do establish that they can work well together. I will grant you that in Avengers, the 2012 movie, it did take them a little bit of time to gain some traction, and Tony Stark acknowledges that in the film. But I will say that after that, we see a lot of instances of pairs or trios working together. Natasha and Steve working together in Winter Soldier comes to mind. And even in Avengers Age of Ultron, we see all 6 of them working together once Ultron becomes a prevalent threat, working together to find him, and then working together to solve the problem of ending him, working together to fight him in Sokovia. These are all excellent examples of them working together, and reasons why we can trust them, reason why we can see that their moral compass points the direction that we need it to be pointing. I will say that the alternative system to check and balance the Avengers that I would suggest would be, I touched on this earlier, but I would just say that I think that the Sokovia Accords are an interesting idea. I think that they just need to be tweaked. I think that the Sokovia Accords came out of a lot of pain and a lot of fear, and that isn't what we need to be making this document based on. We need to make this document looking towards the future and what is going to serve us in the future. And I think that the solution here is to say that the Avengers need to operate singularly and as a unit, as we have seen that they can, and that governments support them in handling the masses. There can be checks and balances here, and I think that the UN panel can facilitate the writing of those checks and balances between the 2 separate groups. But it is important, again, for the Avengers to operate independently. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hollis, your 2 minutes starts whenever you are ready.
To address the concerns of the Avengers having to wait for a go, having to rely on another council to tell them what to do and when to do, I just want to briefly remind everybody that in Civil War, Stark even says that the terms right now are very flexible and very negotiable, and that's because right now they're asking the Avengers to sign the Accords. It's an ask, not a tell. And so the Avengers are in a better place to be able to negotiate the ability to go and take care of things, depending on the level of severity. With regards to the UN not necessarily being effective, I feel like there's something in there as well that ties into this, where since the Avengers have kind of the upper hand still, they're going to be able to negotiate better terms, quicker terms for themselves. But from what we've seen, the Avengers have caused a lot of problems for themselves and the rest of the world, and it's cost innocent lives, and it's caused a lot of destruction to infrastructures and buildings and entire cities, and of course, Sokovia, that entire country is gone. So there needs to be a framework. There needs to be something so that people can be held accountable, people can be trained properly, people can be deployed properly, and to keep things kind of on a proper rail, a proper track, instead of just relying on the ideals of a couple of different people and hoping that they're going to do the right thing if the mood strikes them to do so. And then I'll yield my time.
All righty. Thank you so much. We are going to make our final deliberations. We will be back in a second. Fantastic job to both sides. Talk amongst yourselves.
I feel like I'm in school again. Talk amongst yourselves, kids.
Great nuts and neither grapes nor nuts. Discuss.
I would just like to say that I took out a mosquito that is roughly this large while this entire thing was going on. It was buzzing around my room, and I finally killed it.
Congratulations.
Sorry, real quick, judges, just so you know, that final thing, the final close, you are scoring that out of 10. Out of 10. Just a straight up 10 count. All right, back to you, lovely people.
It's going to be a no for me, dog, on the whole mosquito thing. That's too big.
It was huge.
Bring that back to life now.
No. Right? It was huge. I was like, I am not putting up with that for the next 8 hours. At one point, it flew into my screen. Oh, John, I need that.
John.
It's fun.
Ooh.
Does it zap them when you hit them?
Yeah, you press a button to electrify it, and then you hit them.
Oh, I could wreak so much havoc with that.
You kill all your bugs that way.
I could kill all of the bugs. And it would be, I hate bugs,
Yeah,
guys.
we have every year fly season because our condo is situated directly above the dumpsters. And so every summer there's a period of a week or two where there's just flies everywhere, and that's where this purchase originated from.
The horse flies are
Really
out
well
right
spent.
now, so they're like that big and bite you. So that's fun.
Wait, how big are they?
They're like seriously that big.
Okay.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
horse
yeah.
flies. They're huge.
Like
That
basket
is
size,
false.
baby.
And then if like the problem is then if you squish them, like you feel it. It's gross.
Ugh. Is that just like a London problem or what?
Oh,
I'm in Exeter. I'm in the Southwest. So I'm near a
Okay.
countryside. So we've got a lot of farms and stuff out here. So they kind of like trickle in.
Sure.
we have the
Premium content, dope fans.
Listen, I feel like I've said everything that I need to say. I feel like I've said everything that I need to say on this topic. So we're just
Same.
using this
I
don't
can
together.
see
really
my
have
time
anything
about
else.
bugs to the opposition.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say on this. I feel like it's been
Yeah, I'd like to give a virtual high five to the opposition.
high five, Kate.
Well done.
This has been fun.
Yeah,
This was awesome, you
been a good
guys. You
time.
guys brought it.
Mhm.
You guys really brought it.
it's good stuff.
For
I
being
tried.
unprepared.
I didn't feel like I was like prepared. I didn't have like pages and pages. I rewatched the movie. That was my
That's all you need.
So unprepared. Alex literally comes with all of my arguments thought out.
Alex did
And a
all the work
marshmallow
for
roasting
me.
fork.
Yeah. That's how you win debates. Say your opponent's side before they can, and just be like, yeah, you agree with me.
Is that a tried and true
Checkmate.
strategy, Alex?
Yeah.
Man.
All right, we have a verdict.
Okay.
So I will say that the total score, is like in the mid 100s, and with the scores being that high, there's only 4 points difference between the winner and the losers. That's
What?
how close.
Whoa!
Well done all. Before we even get the
Woo!
results, well
Yeah,
done,
Wow.
everybody.
Everybody, you killed
Good
it.
debate.
Everybody.
Good debate.
So,
Everybody.
with a score of 163 points, Team Iron Man is today's winner.
Oh,
Team Iron Man is today's
man.
Wow. Woo.
Missed it by that much.
It was
Wait,
so
Good job, though,
close.
guy. Like 4
It was
points.
like,
Wow.
and seriously, it was just like back and forth and back and forth. It was like a game of inches. Like looking at the score as it went through was pretty wild.
I'm curious,
and
was there
exciting.
like one thing that just kind of like did it for the
What
judges?
was the like?
Like honestly, it was so like
We're all
the-
grown-ups. We can take this criticism. Right.
it was
Okay.
honestly like both sides had such well-reasoned arguments. It was really, for me, like I said, like with a score that close, like I feel like it's basically a draw.
Right.
You know, like it was like there were so many good things being said on both sides. I really loved David's, like if you I'll give you like my favorite
Oh,
highlight
man.
was David's, like, you know, historical and cultural impact.
Ooh, so good.
You know, approach was just fantastic for me.
Made it
Judges,
personal.
I'm gonna turn off my camera because my computer is just like freezing like crazy.
It's really funny because like he pauses and then it catches up and he's like,
Great.
Yeah, I'm more stunned than anything.
I'm pressed. I did not come that well prepared.
Oh man.
Dude, that was tough though.
Yeah.
So, like I said, like
Mine-
that was a particular highlight for me. Judges, what highlights did y'all have?
It was David and John who were against each other, right? That
It was David and Kate.
David and Kate.
David and Kate.
Communicate.
Who were you with, John?
I was against Crystal.
Yes, that one. got me going back and forth. I think, John, your arguments, especially since I tend to naturally lean towards the other side, yours ones had me going, ooh, wait a second.
There are moments I did not know how to counter John's argument off the top of my head. I was like,
Right. Yeah,
I will fully give all credit to Kate, who wrote my entire script. I added a couple things at the end, and the rest of it was Kate shouldering this group project.
If only there were more minds, you may have gotten a few more points.
what's the marshmallow roasting for?
You need the props. Always go with props.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what won it for you, Alex. Is your props.
I'm sorry, what? Loser says what?
Oh.
Don't make me come over there, Albrecht. Don't make me come over there.
Be nice.
I thought you guys did a great job about people that didn't know the whole, all the nits and bits and pieces. You guys, here's the situation. Here is my argument. So anybody could have jumped in the middle. Now I'm watching the movies. There are tons of spoilers here, but it didn't matter that I didn't know every single nuance.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what the big debate was, and I think it's very interesting that we think as people that we're going to get them to do what we want. We can have all the accords we want. The man's giant and green. He can tell me what he wants.
None of this matters because a giant purple alien is going to demolish us all anyway.
I don't know. I wouldn't even split the bill with the Hulk, man. I'd just go, I'll pay it. It's good. I got it.
He really likes breakfast food.
Yeah, I really it's like so bad. Like I like judging, but so badly that I want to jump into the fray. I just wanted to debate because
This is a good one, Maui. And kudos to you for putting this together. These questions were really, really good. They got into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I really
They're
wanted something
really
that felt
thoughtful.
more like in universe. So
Yes.
I wanted to kind of try that angle
Absolutely.
out, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I'm tweaking the format. So this was a little bit different than our first one. For the individual rounds, after the opening statement, it was just a free for all. So I just let literally everybody talk, and so that was
messy.
tougher on introverted people, and the extroverted people got more in. And so hopefully this helped alleviate it. I think I might do 2 revolutions instead of 3 on the next one, but that's going to basically be, I think I like the crossfire on that. I think that's fun.
Yeah,
so.
I like that. That was a really interesting way to debate. I really enjoyed that section.
Yeah.
On the
I
flip
liked it
side,
because it was sorry.
So no, you go first.
I was gonna say I liked how it was like 1 minute. It was like enough time to counter the argument and say our next point, but not enough to derail and start a whole other point.
Yeah.
And it was nice to be able to have an exchange, an actual exchange debate, without it getting snipey or heated or somebody talking over the other person. So I really like that.
Yeah.
How many pencils does John have in his beard?
All right,
You don't know.
everybody make a bet. I bet $10. There's 4.
5, 6.
That's 6. Yeah.
So coming up. So thank you everybody for being on. So to close out, thank you everybody who tuned in. Next week we will be doing the Dope 5, and that's going to be the top 5 greatest TV shows of all time. So that's going to be a real fun one. And then the next debate club is going to be film buffs. So we're going to I'm instead of giving picking a side, you're going to pick movies for 3 different categories. And so that's going to be best I'm leaning toward right now best sci-fi fantasy, best romantic comedy, and best drama. Is
Return of the
what I
King
think
for
I
all
might.
three.
Huh? What was that?
Yes, Return of the King.
For all three.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why even have the debate? That's the winner.
There we go. It's done. Debate club next
We
time
did
is
it.
done.
We did it.
But that's
David
also gonna
wins.
be- that's also gonna be a little bit different because that's going to be a 1v1 match. So instead of having a team, it's going to be 1v1, and you're going to yeah. So looking for competitors for that. If you are interested in being on that one next month, let me know. If you express interest, let me know. You can DM me on the dope page or anything like that. Anything anybody has to plug, feel free to plug real quick before we sign off. I know, David, you're on another podcast often.
I'm going to have a couple of episodes, 2 or 3 episodes I'm going to be on for Uncanny Cinema, the podcast, coming up in October, mostly focused on horror movies. The podcast is not focused on horror movies. The ones I'm going to be on in October for spooky season.
I like it.
Also, happy spooky season, everyone.
Anybody else got anything else they got to plug, or are we all good?
Everybody sign the Sokovia Accords. Woo!
Nope.
John, could I
Not a chance.
Wait, what did you say, David?
What was that, David?
John, could I borrow one of your beard pens to sign?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Here. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We are signing off. Have a great evening. Have fun storming the castle and stay dope.